Okay, so today we're going to look at using confidence intervals when we're looking at the difference between proportions, so percentages. An appliance store is about to have a big sale. It selects 300 of its best customers and randomly divides them into two sets of 150. Then it mails a notice of the sale to all 300 consumers, but includes a coupon for an extra 5% off the sales price to the second set only. As the sale progresses, the store keeps track of their customers. Why would you do something like this? Well, kind of have what we call a control sample, because if you want to try to figure out, is the coupon really making any difference, you compare two sets of data. You've got one that you call the control, which is the normal data, and then you have your test data, and then you take a look at the difference between the two to find out if there's some statistical difference between them. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to calculate the proportion of customers in each group that purchased appliances. We'll calculate the confidence interval for the difference between each group's proportion of who purchased appliances, and then we're going to see what kind of conclusion can we draw. So right off the bat, I do want to put some range names in to make things a little bit easier. So we're going to go formulas, create from selection. Now you'll notice it flags top row and left row. Why is it doing that? Because the cell goes, wow, there's text in both of these. So I'm just going to assume that you want to do that you're going to want to name the column all with the top row, and then you want to name each individual side row with the row. We don't want to do that. So we're just going to say top row only to create those. And then I'm going to grab these guys here. I'm going to go create from selection from the left column. Now the next part will be a little bit of a mess because, as I know, there's no way that I can highlight all these and go, hey, call this sample size 1, this sample size 2. So what I'm going to do is I'll take the first one, create from selection, left column. Yes. And so now what I want to do is, if I click on that up here in the name, that tells me that sample size. I'm going to Control C. And what I'm going to do, instead of using the manager up here to do the names, I'm going to activate the name box. I'm going to Control V, and then I'm just going to throw a 2 at the end of it. And I'll do that for all 3 of these. Now, unfortunately, this is a little bit more labor intensive to do, but we don't have many, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, and so now I've labeled all those cells, so we are good to go. Now, let's go and actually figure those out. So we need the sample size. So, sample size. Do they have a coupon? Group 1 has a coupon. Group 2 does not. So what do we need to do? Well, we're going to count them, but we got to do a count if, because we've got some weird stuff going on. So received coupon, so that's group 1, and so group 1, the received the coupon, so let's figure that out. So that's going to be column B, so that's going to be our received coupon. Now that I have the range name in there, I don't really have to highlight it. So group 1, if they received the coupon, they would be a yes, so that is going to be F2. So what this is going to do, it's going to go through received coupon, and it's going to count the number of people that have yes. 150, that's what we expect. I'm just going to drag this over. And so we have received coupon and G2, so no. Okay, so the next thing that we got to do is we have to count the number of purchases. So once again, we're going to do another count. We're going to do count ifs, though, because we're going to have multiple criteria. Because the thing is, we want to know if you bought it in your group 1, that means you got the coupon. So now, what I need to know is more than just whether or not that you bought something. I need to know if you bought it and you bought it using the coupon. So what we're going to do is basically the first part's just going to be the same. Did you receive a coupon? And then the answer to that is yes. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to filter through the data, and it's going to count up all the people that received the coupon. The next thing that we need to do is we want you to go through everything, all the data of all the people that purchased the value, that purchased the appliance. Now here I could go back and highlight this again. I can lock it in, but a different way would be, it's text, go find me all the places you say yes. Either one works. So I've calculated it out. You can just keep adding count ifs and filter out your data however you want. And so we have 55 people that received a coupon that did buy a washing machine or whatever. Another reason I set up like this is I'm just going to drag this over because everything's locked in. So let's just double check that. And there we go. Everything stayed like it was supposed to. And since purchased yes was a word, it does not roll. Okay. So what is the proportion of people that got a coupon that bought the appliance? Well, it's going to be 55 divided by sample size. So 36.7%. And since those are all locked in, I can just drag that over. And that is not correct because it is locked in. This is why you always click on this to see, oh, wait, that didn't roll. And so we could sit there and re-click them. I know that they're just have a 2 at the end of them, so I'll just type the 2s in. Okay, that looks better. So now if I click on that, those are the values that I was expecting. Okay, so that first part is done. That's the proportion of customers in each group that purchased appliances. Next part, calculate the confidence interval between them. So we want a 95% confidence interval. So what's the sample proportion difference? Well, it's going to be the sample proportion from the first group minus the sample proportion from the second group. So we have a difference of 13.3%. Now we calculate out the standard error. So standard error, we go to our equation. So we've got the square root of the sample proportion because we are dealing with the proportion differences. We're going to multiply that by 1 minus the sample proportion, and then divide that by the sample size. Okay, and then we're going to add to that same thing on the other side. So sample proportion 2 times 1 minus sample proportion divided by sample size. Square root of all that, and we should get a standard error of 0.0524. So we're looking for a 95% confidence interval. Now we're looking at the difference in proportions, so we're going to be using a normal distribution. We're going to calculate out our z-value, so we're going to be looking for the normal of the sample and the inverse because we actually want the number. So what is the probability of that happening? Well, it's going to be the confidence level plus 1 minus the confidence level divided by 2. And there we go. And that will give us a z-value of 1.96. Okay, so at this point, what are we going to calculate? Well, we want to get the lower bound, we want to get the upper bound, so we're going to go the sample population difference minus our z-value times our standard error. Isn't that much nicer with range names so you can just immediately see what it is? Like I said, I've always been a big fan of those. And so now I'm going to drag that down and it all stays the same. Change the plus to a minus to a plus. And so my confidence interval goes from 3.1% to 23.6%. So that is the confidence interval for the difference. We're 95% sure that the data is going to fall within that. So what does that tell us? Well, that extra 5% coupon definitely increase the data. It had a statistically significant impact on the proportion of customers that bought during the sale. As this is above 0, and so we're showing that the difference between there is 3% to 23.6%. And there we go. Hopefully you understood everything that went on. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.